So this video we're going to look at the Korg Volca keys. So in this section we're looking at VCO, which is voltage controlled oscillator. So this knob goes up and down depending on what range you want to be, or octave. Next we're looking here, we're currently in poly mode. Poly mode means you can play up to 4 notes at a time. So as you can see, on the 4th note it switches back and forth if I try to play another note. So let's now choose the next section here, which is unison. What that does is it makes all of the poly notes, you could imagine it this way, it can make all of the poly notes, all those voices as one. So it's going to be like a monophonic at this point. So you can hear it's a little thicker, but if you want to make it very much thicker, you have a D2 knob right here. So that's at its maximum. Next, we're choosing octave. What that does is it takes the voices into 2 separate tones, one lower and one higher. Let's do the D-tune on this. Next one is the 5th. Now this will play the 5th step above whatever you play as well. Same way with the 2 voices. Now next we're looking at the unison ring. What this does is it adds a ring mod. And finally we have poly ring mode. So it's multiple notes now we can play again. And every note you add adds more to that ring mod. Let's try D-tune. Next we have portamento. What I'm going to do is switch back to poly mode, and let's turn up portamento. Now what this means is it's going to curve the note to the next one. So if you play a note and play the next one, so you can hear. If you want the curve to take longer, you just turn up portamento more, so you'll hear this. Next we're looking at EG int. Now that means envelope generator intensity. So we're thinking here in terms of the VCO. So the oscillator is going to be manipulated by the envelope generator. Now this is an interesting little envelope generator. It has attack, it has decay and release, and then sustain. Right now it's set to just sustain all the way up. So if we use EG int, let's just play around with these and see what it does. I'm going to turn this to max. So it's going to alter the pitch according to whatever envelope I have set here. So let's just hear what it sounds like. Next we have VCF, which is voltage controlled filter. This has a typical cutoff, resonance, and then we have another EG int, or envelope generator intensity. So we can run that also through the envelope here. We have the cutoff here, it's high pass. And the resonance. So you can hear when we turn that up, it brings out more of the different tone from the cutoff. over here we have envelope generator intensity. Now we can run that also through this. So that's how you can get those kind of tones, is by messing around with this and the intensity. Next, we are going to look over here at the LFO, that's low frequency oscillator. Now what this is the rate, first off, and then we have the pitch intensity. So this is actually going to go over here and modify the pitch according to the LFO, and the cutoff intensity, which is the filter. So we can just run that through. If you want to change the shape of the LFO, hold down function, we have saw, triangle, or square. Right now it's in saw. We can also turn on or off trigger sync. That means it would reset the LFO every time you press a key if it's enabled. So we're going to start off with a saw wave. Let's turn the pitch intensity up on it. And then bring up the rate. Now let's change the shape so you can hear the difference. And then the square. So if you want like a nice little sound, you could go to triangle here and then turn the rate down and kind of like a little bit of pitch intensity. Let's turn up the release on here. So we have the notes ring out here. So let's turn up the rate a little. Let's go to a higher note here. Now you hear it wobble a little bit. Let's turn up a little more. Now you hear it, I'm going to turn the rate down just a little. And here's the cutoff intensity. This will affect the VCF. So let's turn that up here. And now again we're going to go into the envelope generator. This mostly is going to affect the amp. So you don't have a different setting for any of this. It's all under the same envelope. So we have low attack and we have a little bit of decay on here. So it's just a little bit. If you want it to get ring out more, just turn it up. Once you go past the half mark, it's going to start turning into a release. So if you turn it more, it's going to fade out longer. Sustain is kind of like if you want to hold down a note. If you want it to hold for long, you just turn it all the way up full volume. Okay? So if you wanted to fade something in and out, you would just bring the attack and the release up and leave the sustain up. So as you can see, it fades in if I turn up attack, or if you turn attack all the way down, it's just going to be like a plink sound, like a piano plinking. You hear that fast initial hit. If we turn sustain all the way down, we turn decay up, it's just going to fade out the note. Next, let's look at delay. We have time and feedback. So if I play something, let's turn sustain all the way up. Actually, let's make sure sustain's all the way down so we can really hear what this does. So I'm going to turn up the feedback. Then we can change the time here. Let's make it really short. Can turn the feedback up a lot. If you turn this while you're playing it, you're actually going to hear a little pitch shift there. Just like a real delay unit there. Okay, so what we're going to do is look at the sequencer real quick. Let's turn on the metronome. Just press function metronome, the light turns on. When you do this, be aware the delay, we can't hear it when it's on. So I'm going to press play here. And you can also change from 1/1 to 1/2. When you change to 1/2, the steps go slower through it. Also 1/4. So we're going to just stay in 1/1 for now. Let's press record. So now we're going to go over the motion sequencer. I press function and then on off here, turns it on because the light's on, motion sequence. So if I press play and then press record and then start turning the knobs, it's going to record them. So let's try that. And you can see that's being turned because it's flickering. And what we're going to do is turn off that metronome and press play. So I'm going to actually record since we're in poly mode. I'm going to press record and play some lower notes. And then even lower notes.